Hi everyone, I can see there are about 12 people here already. Can you hear me? Hi Maria, hi Patty, hi Janet. From Florida, is that? Indiana? Wow. I'll just wait for a few more to come on. Hi Denise. So how's your day been going so far? Wow, I can see. Hi Jay Cougar. Janet. Yes, you can hear me. Jojo, hi. Helen. Okay. Hi Margaret Owens. Hi Jenny. Denise, you're wearing out the ScanNCut. Good. Groundhog Day here. So happy to be here again with you. Things going well here in Washington State. Oh, good. Hi, Barbara. Right. I can see we've got about 24 or so people on here now. So what I'm going to do, I've got a couple of things that I want to go over. And then if there's anything that anybody wants to ask about, we'll try and tackle it. The first thing I want to just go over is the, hi Lynn, hi Nancy, is the Saru's flower ding, the one with the flowers around the outside of the circle. Now, some people are doing it and not got any problem with it at all. Some people are having a problem with it. So I'm just going to recap on that quickly. Hi, Judy. Somebody also messaged me and asked me how I did the number 7 shaped card, which is on the banner on my website. So I thought I'd quickly go over that. And then if there's anything else that anybody wants to ask about, we'll see if we can work them out in both Canvas for online and Canvas for computer. Hi, Charmaine. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm relaxed now you're here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to Canvas for download. So can you just let me all know that you can see the canvas mat? Hi, Rosemary from Jamaica. Hi, Marcia from the Midwest. Patty H is saying yes. I presume that means you can see the canvas screen. So I'm just going to crack on and run through this quickly. Hi, Marjorie. Jenny, yes, thank you. Oh, you're all saying yes now. That's great. Okay, so I'm just going to run through this bit quickly again, and then we'll see if anybody's got any other questions, and then I'll move on to the other project. Can see, right, everyone's saying can see it. Okay, so I'm just going to come down to the basic shapes and I'm going to choose a circle. I'm going to come over to the edit icon, which is over on the right hand side, and I'm going to make the circle 3 inches. I'm going to come over to the text icon, select the text icon, and I'm going to use a capital letter E 9 times. I'm trying to still see comments as well as concentrating on what I'm doing. So if I miss anything, I'll try and catch up with them, and if not, I'll try and answer them at the end later on tonight. So now I've got the 9 capital E's on the screen. I'm just going to hit enter. I'm going to come up to where the fonts are, because obviously remember this is the download program, and I'm going to come down and I'm going to find Saru's Welding. And obviously you can go back and watch the video that's still on my channel from last week, but I'm just going to recap. Okay, now the minute I choose the Saru's Welding, those capital letter E's have all turned to flowers. Okay, I'm going to select both. While I'm still on the edit tab, I'm just going to slide down to the bottom, and you should have this letter T on this arc shape. And that means you've got fit text to path. If you've not got this, you need to update this software, and it's usually under the help section at the top. You click on help and check for Canvas Workspace updates. Okay. Once you've done the update, you need to close out of Canvas Workspace and then go back in it, and you should have the update fit to path. Okay, so with these two selected now, I'm going to hit fit text to path. Now that's put the flowers around the circle, but I can see that these two flowers here are too close together. Thanks, Rosemary, that's great. I'm going to come up here to where it says 0, and this is the character spacing, and I'm going to hit the down arrow 3 times. So I'm taking it to -3, and that's just spaced the flowers out. Okay, now you need, this is still text on path, so the text is the flower and the path is the circle. You need to now do what's called convert to shapes. So in other words, we want to get rid of this path, this circle, and leave the flowers in this orientation. So now you've got your flowers, okay? If you were just going to cut this in vinyl, you could just save this file, send it over to your machine, cut it, peel away all your excess, and you'd be left with your flowers in a circle like that, which you could pick up on your transfer tape and then put onto a project. But the way I did my card was to weld these flowers to a circle. And this seems to be the bit that's causing people. Lynn, I just chose 3 inches because that's what worked with 9 flowers. And that's what I'm going to explain again in a few minutes. So I'm going to come back to the basic shapes. I'm going to go back and drag a circle on again. And I'm going to position this circle. In fact, no, I'm going to resize the circle first, and I'm going to make it 3 inches, the same as I did at the beginning. But then I'm going to change it. Now, if I bring this circle into the middle of the flowers, and I'm going to try and zoom in. Now, if you look at this circle, it's overlapping these flowers in quite a few places, but down here, it's only just touching the petal of this flower, and the same here. And that's because these flowers are not symmetrical. If you look at this petal, it's longer than this one. So what you have to do, you have to make sure by manipulating your circle that this circle line overlaps all these flowers, and I can see it's barely touching there. So that's why in the other video I increased the width of this circle to 3.05. I just made it ever so slightly bigger. and then I positioned it manually. If you position it using the align features, because these flowers are not symmetrical, you'll encounter the same problem where sometimes the circle doesn't overlap the flower enough. So you need to make sure that this circle is overlapping on all your flowers. And I think that looks pretty much okay for me now. So we'll see what happens. So I'm going to select everything, come down to the bottom and hit weld, and that's now welded. Then if I wanted, I'm not going to make the whole card again, I'm just going over this process. And then if I wanted to make an offset for this, like I did with the card, I would come down to the bottom, to the offset, and choose an offset distance. I'm going to say outward, I'm going to make it 0.16. I can't remember what I did in the original video, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's given me an error. And I think this is sometimes what people are getting. So I'm going to try it again. So I'm going to come to offset and I'm going to make it bigger. And I'm still getting that error message. And I honestly don't know why, because this works for me time and time again. So let me just zoom out and we'll see if we can work out why. I'm just going to click on the weld and it says operation not allowed. The selected objects include open paths or self-intersecting paths. Okay, so let's undo and see what happens. Let's make the circle a little bit bigger. Let's try that. So we'll weld again. Okay, so we've got the weld. The weld isn't the problem, but the offset. I'm going to make the offset bigger. And it still won't do it, and I don't know why, because it worked perfectly well in all my other tries. So let me see, let me think about this. Let me create a duplicate and see if it does it with that one. Going to make it an outward, make it round, leave as is. Let's try a smaller. No. And for some reason it just won't let me do it, and I don't know why. And I think this is the problem that some people have been having, and yet I've not had a problem with it up until now. How strange. So let me see, let me just catch up on what people are saying. Normally, right, so this is what I was hoping to try, Lynn Gaskell, this is what I was hoping to try and show. The bit that says open or intersecting paths is normally when you've got too many flowers for the size of the path. So if we go back to the circle and make it 3 inches, and then if we go back to the letter and instead of doing 9, I'll do 15 and see what happens. And then I'll put the two together, select them and do fit to path. And can you see how they're double overlapping here? And even when you try and space them out, because they can't overlap in more than one section of the flower. And that's usually the message that you get for the intersecting path. Although I'm getting it now when I'm trying to put the offset around here, which is bizarre. Let's try a 0.08. Let's try inward and see if that works. Make it a lesser inward. No. You see, this is saying the same thing. It's got self-intersecting paths and yet it hasn't. So I really don't understand why. And this is exactly how I made my card in the other video. So I was hoping to try and solve the problem for you tonight, but clearly I've just made the problem worse. Which shape do you want me to make bold? This one? Why do you want me to make it bold? Is it that you can't see it? I'm just going to fill this in with colour while I'm waiting. Oh, I keep double clicking this and bringing the nodes up, and that's not what I want to do. Right, let me try and fill it in with a colour and see if that gives me any clue as to what's going on. Oh, I can see what's wrong with it here. It's got some kind of strange bit going on there. Let me see if it's on the other one. Let me get rid of that one. Let me fill this one with colour and see if I've still got it. See, this one looks okay. But this one's got something odd going on here, so I'm going to get rid of that. Right, let me see what people are saying. Pat Smith saying, when I'm in the downloaded canvas, I always have a problem getting to the area that shows me the width and height. Okay, so do you mean to the edit icon over on the right hand side? You just need to scroll up. Because if you've been down here using text to path, the width and height disappears. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure. Yeah, they can be temperamental, but I don't understand why this one is, considering I've used it, you know, many times. I've got something blue going on here. I might try and get rid of that and see if that makes any difference. Let me try it again. No, it's just not doing it tonight for some reason for me, and I don't know why. And yet I tried it earlier on today. I went back through my video and I tested it. I even tested it in Windows. Hannah found an old Windows computer over the weekend while she was clearing out her bedroom, and I even fired that up and tested that, and it worked. So I just don't know. The little bit left in between the two no, it shouldn't be, because if you remove those, you'll have no gap. But hang on, let's see, let's try, hang on. When I click on these though and keep exposing these nodes, I've got like blue nodes here, which I'm not particularly happy with. So I'm just gonna see if it's anything to do with those. See, now I've lost the definition altogether in that one. So I'm gonna put that, I'm gonna undo that and leave that there. But I think it could be because that's so close together. So let's try and zoom in on that section. Right, I'm just going to, right, okay, I'm just going to open up this node. Let's see if it works now. No, there's something that it doesn't like. Let's get rid of it and try it again. So I'm going to do 9 flowers. I'll bring on a circle. I'll stick with the size that I used, which was 3 inches, just because I know that that has worked in the past. And then I'll put the shape to path, space out the flowers, do convert to shapes, so I'm just left with those. Bring the circle back in. I can see loads of messages scrolling up in front of me, but I don't know what you're all saying, so you'll have to give me a minute while I just have another play with this, and if I can't make it work, we'll leave it, and then I'll move on to the next thing, and I'll try and figure out why it's not working. Right, so we seem to have everything overlap there, and that welds. And then when I fill it with a colour, that all looks okay. So let's try the offset and see why it's not doing the offset. No, it just does not like the offset at all, does it? Which is very bizarre considering I've used it many times before. So I really don't know what the answer to this one is, because as I say, it's worked, and it's worked several times. Right, so let me see what people are saying. Natalie Morris is saying, I had a similar problem and did the download again. But when I did the re-download, all working again. Okay, I don't know. Maybe a double node. Yeah, I think it is, but I can't see it. And that's why I thought it was that one where I opened that space up. Because when you click on it, I think it's running slow because I'm screen recording as well. But if we just wait for the nodes to show up, see, the only node that's looking like it's, anything was here, but on this one now it seems to be fine. I don't know, it's bizarre. It just won't let me do anything at all with it. Create a duplicate. Make the duplicate bigger. Make it an outward. No, it's just not having it. So I really don't know what the problem is. As I say, it's worked perfectly fine. There's no convert to shape once you've welded, which Natalie, so I'm not sure. Was it Natalie that said that? I don't know, it's weird. As I say, it's worked perfectly fine, and for some reason it's not now. Can't explain it, guys, I really can't. I mean, all these look okay, but without individually going in on every single one, I mean, that all looks fine. I can't see anything at all that looks out of place. I mean, I wish I could resolve the problem. I really don't know what the problem is, because I've not really had this problem myself before. Unless it's just that there's lots of extra nodes in here, you know, if you took some of them away, but then you're kind of losing the shape of the flower. Right, let me zoom back out, because you can see how many nodes there are. So obviously, you know, it's not going to be a simple process to rectify. When you click on it, you can see all the hundreds of blue nodes. Let's just try it one more time and see. No, it's not doing it. Right, well, I don't know why. That's the answer. Ah, Paul, do you know you're here? I was thinking that, is it because I'm recording at the same time? Because I've not had problems with it at all. And like I say, I even fired up an old Windows 7 computer this morning and tried it on there and it was fine. So I honestly don't know. I was thinking that myself, Paul, but I didn't really want to, you know, maybe suggest that. Yeah. I'm not going to close it down because I'm screen recording and I've got it all positioned where I want it. But I will try it again, either tonight or tomorrow when I'm not screen recording, and see if I have the same problem. And then if I do, I'll try and work out what the problem is and I'll post an update. But as I say, I've not had a problem with it, so it's really bizarre. So I'm going to get rid of that one now, because then the other question I had was somebody wanted to know how I did the number 7 card, which was in the banner of my website. So let me just go to online and I'll show you. So can you see this here? This is a card I made probably 10 years ago, maybe, not sure, quite a long time ago anyway. And somebody messaged me recently, asked me how I did it. So that, again, now that would have been done in probably something like Inkscape, but I'm going to do it in Canvas for Computer because we can now use our own fonts. And the font that I used is called Black Rose here, and you get it from the font. Okay, so have you all got that? So can you all see my Canvas screen again now while I just catch up on some of the comments and see, because I've just seen that Paul said something and I didn't catch what he was saying. Could you draw a square around it, divide, then take the square bit away and resize the flower ring? I don't know, Paul. I'll try it later on. What's Nancy saying? Is it true that the download version is the only way to use the vinyl roll feeder. I'm not sure is the answer to that one, Nancy. I'll try and find out. I've not got the roll feeder, so I don't know. Right, you can all see that. Right, so I'm going to come to the text box and I'm going to type a number 7 and hit enter. And that's disappeared now. So strange things are happening. Oh, is it because I've got Saru's? Let's just go to Arial. Okay, let me just make sure I've not got anything on my mat that's going to get in the way. Okay, so let's type a number 7 and hit enter. Okay, so we've got a number 7. I'm going to... Can you all still see that? I'm going to come up to where the fonts are and I'm going to scroll down and find Black Rose. And I'm just going to drag it out a little bit so you can see it. Now, the way I do my shape cards is I try and work out what size I want the card to be as a finished size. So that particular card, I think it was bigger than A6, so bigger than like 5.5 by 4. It wasn't quite as big as 7 by 5. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring a rectangle on. I'm going to come back to the editing icon and I'm going to make it 7 by 5 just as a guide. I'm going to untick maintain aspect ratio and type 7 and 5 and then I'm just going to rotate it. So this is going to roughly represent the finished side of the front of my card. So now I can bring the number 7 over and I can make it bigger just by eye. Now, if you welded another 7 either to the side or the top, because this is curly, it probably wouldn't stand. So I put my number 7 on a rectangle. So I'm just going to drag another rectangle in. I'm going to see how wide this number 7 is. And I can see it's 3.73 wide. So I'm going to make this rectangle about the same width. So 3.73. And then the height I'll probably make about 1.5 inches. I'm going to put the two together, just slightly overlapping them, select them both and centre them using the align objects down here. With them both selected, in fact, before I do anything, I'm going to make a duplicate of this. So I'm going to select it, right click and make a duplicate. And just bring it out of the way. I'm going to select both of these and weld. So as a finished card, that would sit comfortably within a 5 by 7. Now you've got options. You can either right click and make a duplicate, and then on your duplicate you need to come to flip horizontal, which is on the edit tab. I can see Natalie saying, thanks for the tip about DeFont, downloaded 9 dingbats. Have fun. Okay, so I flipped this. I'm going to line them up roughly together, select both. I'm going to line them up on the bottom edges. So I'm going to come over here to align bottom. And then I'm just going to select one of them and using the arrows on the keyboard, I'm just going to bring it over until it overlaps the other one. You don't want to overlap it too much, else you'll lose the definition of your card. Okay, but before I weld them together, I'm just going to make a duplicate of this one as well. So if I select both of these, they're aligned at the bottom and they're overlapping just a little bit in the middle there, and click weld. I've now got my shape card. If I bring my rectangle back in and make my rectangle red in the hope that you can, oh, I don't want fill. No, I don't want fill. Take the fill off. I want the outline to be red. And then if I positioned this, you can see that the front of this card would fit comfortably within a 7x5. So that's all I've used my rectangle for as a guide. You can, you know, make it even bigger or smaller if you want to. So that's the front of the card. Helen Ward is saying, my solution when all else fails, close down the computer and reboot it. Yeah, you know, if you're doing this on your own and it doesn't work, then yeah, maybe do that. I think it's because I'm screen recording. I've got a lot going on at once. But as I say, I will try it again either tonight or come back to and do it tomorrow and see what happens. And if it works, I'll let you know. And if it doesn't, I'll let you know as well. What's Linda Lee saying? April Fool's Day here in the US. Same here. Yeah, probably. So that is kind of how I made, the shape card. Now, I kept this separate number 7 because when you fold this in half, you will lose a little bit of this curved definition. So that was why I made a duplicate of this. So that would sit over the front of your card. And then if you want a matting layer of this, you could then come down to offset. Let's see if this works this time. I'm going to take it inward and I'm going to say 0.08 and OK. And now that's given me my matting layer, so I'll change that to pink. So this is the front of your card. Let's colour it in so we can see. So we'll make that black. Then this, I'm going to bring to the front. This would sit on top, so let's make this green in the hope that you can see it. So that would sit over the front of your card perfectly to give you that little bit of definition back there. If you're not bothered about it, don't do that bit. And then this could be your matting layer, and that would sit, let's bring it to the front, right click, bring to front. And that's your matting layer. So that's your card in essence. Now, you might want to make it a top folding card, so that's why I kept this one aside before. So again, with this one selected, right click, make a duplicate. This time use flip vertical. Position them so they overlap slightly. Select them both and I would centre them. And then again, weld. And that you'd have a fold here and this would be a top folding card. And because you've put this rectangle on the bottom, this just enables the card to stand better. And then again, you know, if you wanted to have your matting layers on top, you've got extra matting layers. So that was how I made the number 7 card. And that was using Black Rose. And Black Rose used to be one of my absolute favourite fonts for making all kinds of shape cards. I've used it when I had my Craft Robo many years ago. I've used it for making number shape cards, letter shape cards. I just find it a beautiful font, and it's quite chunky but decorative, and it always usually cuts beautifully. So I'm not so sure who it was that asked me about the number 7 card, but if you're here, that's how I made it. And if you're not, hopefully you'll pick it up in the replay. So at least has that helped anybody? I'm just going to have a quick drink. So Jacob is saying nice 7 card. Obviously, you could do this process in online, but you'd just be restricted to the fonts that are in the online program. The beauty of having this download program is that we can drag any font through that's on our computer. So what's Pat saying? Could you make this card as one of your YouTube tutorials? Yeah, if you want me to do it again in a slower version, I can do that. I'll make a note. Let me find a pen. Is that what you mean, Pat? Barbara, thank you. Should we do a number 6 while we're here? Let's get rid of that. So we'll come back to the text, click once on the page and type the number 6, and I'll just drag it out. Number 6 is lovely as well. I've used number 6 in the past. Now again, because it's got a curved bottom, you've got a couple of options. You could either, let me see what Pat's saying. Yes, thank you. Yeah, okay, Pat, I'll do that, no problem. Again, you can either weld a rectangle on the bottom, like I've just done with the number 7, or you could chop a bit of the bottom off to make it flat. It depends, you know, what look you want. So let's try and do both. I'm going to just drag this number 6 out to make it a bit bigger. I'll make a duplicate of it and put it on one side. So I'll do the first one with a rectangle welded to the bottom. So I'll come back to the rectangles, drag a rectangle on. I'm going to see how wide this number 6 is, and it's 3.58 as it is. So I'll make this the same. And then I'll shorten it to about 1 inch this time instead of 1.5 inches. Overlap them slightly, select them both, centre them. Can you all still see? And then while they're both selected, weld. Then again, you've got the option. So we'll right click and duplicate. We'll flip the duplicate horizontal, bring it back up so it overlaps slightly here. Select them both, line them up on the bottom edge. Let's move that out of the way. We know that if this was the front of the base card, that this would be plenty big enough to go in a 7x5 envelope. Select both of those and weld. You've got your number 6 that you can sit over the top. Let's make another duplicate because we'll make this one slightly different. And then we'll do an inset of this. So we'll come down to the offset. We'll do an inward at 0.08 and say OK. I'll make the inward purple in the hope that you can see it. In fact, no, I keep filling it with colour. I don't want the fill, I want the outline. There we go. I'll make the line a little bit bigger actually so you can see it. So this would be your base card. It would fold down the middle. You would lose just a slight little bit of the definition, but not much. But if you didn't want to, this would go over the front. And then this could be your matting layer that would sit within. Okay, what's people saying? Sean, hi Ashley, sorry, but I've missed most of your live video. I do have a question. Could you help me with, when doing fit to path, is it possible to just cut the words without the shape? Yes, just give me a minute and we'll go back to that because I've had a problem with the fit to path at the beginning anyway, Sean, with the flowers. What's Denise saying? I've learned so much from you. Watch your tutorials from the first. Oh, thank you. So that would be your card. that's got its own base. So that's the number 6. Now, because this is curved, if we bring a rectangle in and just position it just over the bottom of that number 6, ever so slightly, and the box is on top of the number 6, select both and come to subtract. We've made the number 6 have a flat bottom. So this would sit now without having to put a weld a rectangle on it. So that's another way. So again, if you right click and duplicate and flip your duplicate horizontally, you can put those two together so they overlap. Select them both, line them up on the bottom edge so you know they line up, and then weld. And that would sit then. That's another way. You just have to play around with it really. Some numbers lend themselves to just standing as they are like this. Others you need to weld, you know, a base on. And you can make this base as deep or as shallow as you want to. Right, let me get rid of some of this that's on here. Right, so let me go back to Sian. So what's Sian saying? When doing the fit to path, is it possible to just cut the words without the shape? Okay, Sian, what words? Give me some words and let's try it and we'll see if we can understand what you're trying to do. So Barbara Morris, it was you that said you were going to try it with the 6. Has that helped you? So I'm just waiting for Barbara to reply and Sian to tell me what words. Right, Barbara's replied, that's fine. So you can have a play with that. Let me know how you get on. And then if Sian could just let me know what words you want on a path without a path. Christine, don't worry, it will all be recorded. You can go back and watch it. I had a bit of a hiccup at the beginning because I couldn't get the text to path to work properly. But yes, I am going to do another Skillshare. The next one is it's a font. It's how to create some text and fill it in. So that's going to be the next one. I've got it half recorded. Nancy, you're supposed to be working, but you're having a break time. Good. Right, so what's Sian saying now? I want to cut, but happy birthday will do. Good, because I can't even say that. Really, I just want them curved, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's get rid of this. So let's go back to text and type happy birthday. Let me make it bigger. Don't know whether this is going to be a good font to use, but we'll try. Oh, Christine, thank you. That's fine. Right, I'll bring a circle on. I don't know how big a circle I'm going to need for this word with it being quite big, but we'll select both. It depends how much do you want to curve it as well, Sian. That's the other thing. Let me undo that. What we could do, instead of using a circle, let's try it with this. So I'm just waiting for Sian to come back to me. Over an oval. Okay, and do you want the letters individual or do you want them to be welded together? So let's get rid of that and let's undo that. And let's bring on an oval while I'm waiting. Yeah, Lynn, you can use a semicircle. That's what I just did. I'm just playing around. Natalie, that's fine. You're welcome. Thank you. Welded. Okay, let's try it then. So, because I've typed this all in one session, if you like, this is all one word. So I'm going to come to divide, which is on the, you've got edit over here, second icon down, and I'm going to come to divide, and that's going to break up all the letters. So I'm just going to zoom in. To be honest, I don't think I've tried this since we've had fit to path, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to bring the H using the arrows on the keyboard over a little bit so it overlaps. This one's already overlapping. I'm going to bring this one over and I'll bring the Y over. I'm going to select that word and hit weld, and then I'm going to do the same with birthday. Now these all look as though they're overlapping apart from the B, so I'm just going to use the arrow on my keyboard and bring that over so it overlaps. I might bring it over a bit more to see if it can touch the dot on the I. Select all that and hit weld. Now they've not welded, so I'm just going to undo. These are not touching, so let's select them and move them over. The T is not touching the R. Okay, let me zoom back out. So I'm going to drag all these together and weld. So now this is welded and this is welded. So let's see. So you want both the words to weld over the arc. I don't know whether this is going to do it because we've got two separate words, but we'll soon find out. So if we bring everything together, no, it's the fit to path. If we weld this together, let's move this out of the way. Let's weld that as one word. No, the fit to path isn't coming up because I've welded first. So let's try it without welding and see what happens. So let's do, or in fact, no, hang on, let's undo, let's go back. Let's take that word away and see if these will weld. No, not weld, sorry, they won't fit to path either. Right, I'm going to get rid of the text and let's try it again. So let's do, let's just do one word at a time and see. So they don't seem to want to fit to path when you've welded them together. So, because they'll fit to path when they're not welded. So let's undo. And let's try. Okay, so they'll fit to path if they're not welded together. If you want them to be over an arc, then you're going to have to make this bigger. Let's try that. Okay, so if we convert to shapes now to take the path away, they're in the shape of an arc, but they're all individual letters. Which is not what you wanted, is it? Yeah, okay, so I've just caught up with your message, Sean. If it's easier, try it without welding. So they'll do it if they're not welded, but you can't weld the letters together and then fit to path. Mary, I'm not sure, because if you caught the beginning, I've had a problem with it tonight, but I thought it might be because I'm screen recording. But I am going to try it either tonight or tomorrow, and I will post. I'll post it on the community wall on my YouTube, and let you know if I failed or if I managed to make it work again. Yeah, okay, Paul, yeah, so once welded it won't work. Okay, that's fine. So, can we break them apart though and then weld them? Now we've got them in this shape. So let's select zoom and let's zoom in and go to divide, and that will bring them all up as individuals. So what we could do now is manually move them along. Let's try this, and then I'll try and catch up with what people are saying. I can see the screen's flashing, but I don't know what you're saying because I'm trying to concentrate on this. So let's select those and weld, and then select those, and weld. Now we're getting an error. Why are we getting an error? Let's move them. There you go. So we've kind of done it in a fashion. So the answer, Sean, is if you keep the letters unwelded, Right, I've just seen a message from Sean. How did you get rid of the shape? Do you just delete it? Okay, you use the convert to shapes. So let's do it again. So go to text. I'll just type hello this time to make it a bit quicker. Come to the shapes. Choose your oval. Select both. Hit fit to path. Then there's a little blue arrow at the beginning of the letter. If you drag that round, you can bring that up to where you want it to be. And then you come to this bit, Sean, convert to shapes. And when you click that, it takes the oval away. Right, I'm missing questions. Can you put happy over an oval and birthday on the bottom? Yes, I did. Charlotte Keller, I did a video on my channel a few weeks ago, a happy birthday card. And I did just that. I had happy at the top, birthday at the bottom. So if you go back to the channel and have a look for that, it's about 2 weeks ago, you'll find that. Sean, does that answer your question now, how to get rid of the oval? This is still the Black Rose font, yes, Linda Lee. It's lovely. Just having a quick drink. Just waiting for Sean to let me know if she understands that bit now. You'll see how lovely it is if I colour it in. Ashley, Charlotte. Okay, Sean, so you understand now. Okay, so it's that convert to shapes, gets rid of your oval, and then you're going to be left with these. I mean, to be fair, if you were just cutting this in vinyl, then it would be perfect because you'd put your masking tape over it, and when you put it down, it would go down in the arc. If you were cutting this in card and it's not welded, you might as well just cut the word as it is without fitting to path and then bend it yourself. But what you can do, as I showed you here, once you've got the basic shape, if you come to divide, you can then overlap your letters and kind of still keep them in that arc shape and weld them. Right, where are we up to? So have I missed any questions? Because I've been on now for just over an hour. So has anybody else got any questions before we round it up? And obviously this is something you can't do in the online version because there's no text to path in the online version. You just have to type your letters using a font that's in the online version and manually put them into place. Charlotte, no, anything. Any questions? If you've got anything, I'll try and answer them. And if I don't know, I'll find out and come back to you. What's the off the wall question? Nancy Bridgman, the lever on the left-hand side of the SDX is just an adjustment lever. Sometimes you'll find when you cut in thicker or thinner materials, it'll tell you to flick the lever up or down. It's not something you have to be particularly bothered about. The machine will tell you when it wants you to position it in 1 or 2. Okay, Barbara Morris, thanks for your help. Being great. You're going to try the number 6. That's great. Sean's saying, just thought after converting I could temporarily add an oval to keep the letters even. Yeah, anything. Charlotte, by default, shapes revolve around the centre. Can you rotate around a node? I don't think you can. It's fairly basic, this, the fit to path function that we've got here. You could do it in something like Inkscape, but I don't use that anymore because I had it on my old Mac and it caused me endless problems, so I got rid of it. And then when I got a new Mac, because my old one died last year, I've not bothered to put Inkscape back on. It depends how big you cut it. I wouldn't be. I mean, let's see how big this is. This is just over 3 inches by nearly an inch and a quarter. And this is 4 inches wide by nearly 2 inches high. So I wouldn't be bothered about cutting it. As I say, I've used Black Rose for years. Nancy, you're welcome. Yeah, Charlotte, like I say, it's just, it really is a very, very basic fit to path function that we've got. Rosemary, you're welcome. Has anybody else got any questions? Linda, you're welcome. Should we do some more of these kind of Q&A type things? If anyone's interested, leave me comments under the video if you've got any other suggestions that we can try out, either in the download program or the online program, and we'll maybe try and do, a Q&A every so often instead of just doing a project or something all the time. Barbara Morris, thanks. Yeah, bye. Hi, Judy. Thank you. You're welcome. Patty, what you're saying, do you know if there is a source for the icons on the machine? I don't know what you mean. What do you mean, Patty? I've just seen Barbara's comment after something to tell us what the function is. No, I don't think there is from memory if you hover over. I don't think there is on the machine. I think you literally just have to work out what it's for. Let me just go back to Patty's comment. I've just seen a comment. Was it Patty? No, Barbara. After weld and divide, what do the last 2 icons mean? Okay, so you've got weld and divide, you've got remove process overlap, and you've got subtract. Remove process overlap I don't use very often, but let's get rid of these. So if you bring on a circle and a square, I've put the I'm going to bring the circle to the front and I'm going to position the circle over the square and select both. And if I use subtract, you'll see it cuts the circle shape out of it. So that's subtract, undo. If we select them both and do divide, you'll get that. Okay, if I undo all that and select them both and do remove overlap, it more or less does what subtract does. It just removes the portion of the bit below that's been overlapped by the one on top, if that makes sense. The ones I use in the main are weld, divide and subtract. Does that help, Barbara? Pat Smith, you're welcome, thank you. Oh, Linda, you've joined my community on YouTube, thank you. What are you saying? Just managed to get here, we'll watch later. Thank you for the tutorials, they are amazing. Oh, you're welcome. We had a bit of a hiccup at the beginning with the first part. I was trying to show the fit to path using the flowers, and although it worked, it wouldn't let me do an offset. So I'm going to go back and try and work out why that didn't work, because it's worked in the past before for me, Linda. And then we've done a number 7 card using a font from the font. So, you know, there's still lots of things to watch. What's Marjorie saying? Learning lots of things tonight, thank you. Do you have to use Scal or Inkscape to use your own fonts in Canvas? Marjorie, if you use the Canvas download program, which is this one that I'm showing now, so you physically download it, there's an icon down here on the bottom of my desktop. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't. You can use any font on your computer if you use the download program. You don't have to use Scal or Inkscape. In the online version, you can only use the fonts that are online. Lynn Gaskell, do you not have to subtract the circle from your letters? What do you mean, Lynn? I'm not quite sure what you mean. Linda Lee, you like the Q&A session? Well, great. We'll try and do them a bit more often then, maybe a Q&A. Maybe, I don't know, once a month, something. What's Barbara Hartley saying? That's brilliant. Thank you so much. Very helpful. Okay, Alison Eastwood. Is this live a general Q&A or just... No, it's about anything. It's about anything, Alison. I did post that on my YouTube community wall. I said, ask me a question and we'll try and cover it. But there'd been some confusion over the fit to path, so that's why I'd started with that. And then somebody else asked about the number 7 card that's in my banner, so that's why I've done that. Could you use character spacing first and then do the rest? Do you mean the fit to path? So Nancy, you're saying, could you use character spacing first and then do the rest? Okay, so let's just say, so I've typed hello. If we use character spacing, then they're going to overlap. Is that what you mean? Let's try that then. Okay, that's a thought. So then let's go back to the oval, which is what Sian wanted to use. select both, and then fit to path. Oh, that works. Yeah, good thinking. And then with that selected, you come to convert to shapes. Good idea. Well done. Nancy, you're welcome. You got to go back to work now. Oh dear. And the missing questions. Barbara Hartley, Q&A sessions are very good. Yeah, if you've got any other questions, we'll try and do one maybe once a month. Phyllis, you're more than welcome. Nancy, so that's helped you, has it? Maybe that is Sian still here. And then let's weld them. Can we weld them now? Yay, we can. So that's the way to do it then. So use the character spacing, get them closer together, put the shape on the path, convert to shapes, and then weld. Chris Halifax, are you using a Mac or Windows? Okay, Nancy, well, have a good rest of your night. So I'm just waiting for Chris to reply. Nancy Colpitts, it was a very good brainwave. Well done. I'd not thought of that. So I've learned as well, you see. So we're all learning together. So I'm just waiting for Chris Halifax to tell me if it's a Mac or Windows. Yes, Sue, well done, Nancy. Because Chris is saying, when you download a font from DaFont, how do you get the font onto your font list? Sean, you've been welding the letters to the shape. That's why you couldn't get rid of it. Oh no. That's fine. I'm still not so Chris Halifax has asked a question, but I don't know how to answer it because I don't know whether it's a Mac or Windows. If you can tell me which one, then I can try and explain. Charlotte Kelly, you're right. We just kind of play about and learn, don't we? Like on Sunday when we were playing around with the piercing kit and trying things out. That's a good way of, doing things in these Q&As. I mean, I don't mind showing you how to do things in the software and showing you how to do things on the computer. But if there are other questions that need to be answered, then we can try and iron them out. And I don't know if Paul's still here, but he's a whiz in Canvas as well. So if he's ever around, he can always answer. Right, I've just seen that Chris has said Windows. Okay, basically, so you go to say DaFont, find the font, hit the download button. Now this is how, as I said earlier, Hannah found an old Windows 7 computer when she was tidying a room out at weekend, and I was trying the fit to path on it today, and it worked fine, but I had to download the Saru's flower ding. So the way I did it on Windows was I downloaded the font from DaFont and I saved it onto the desktop so I knew where it was. And then it's a folder and it'll have a zip on it, so it means it's zipped. I double clicked the folder and it opened, and then inside the folder there were two files, and one said TTF, which is True Type font, and I double clicked that True Type font, and then it came up and said to me, do you want to install it? And I clicked install, and then that put that into my font list. And then what you have to do, if you've got Canvas open like this, you have to close this program down, come out of it, and then go back in, and it will appear in your font list up here then. So does that help, Chris Halifax? Let me try and catch up with some comments. Linda Allison is saying, am I right in thinking the piercing kit is suitable for CM? No, it's not. The piercing kit is only suitable for the machines that has the auto blade technology. So the DX series or the SDX, which is what I've got, you can't use it in the CM machines, unfortunately, and I've no idea why. Just while you're all still here, I don't work for Brother. I have nothing to do with them. It's just I use, a machine, and I'm relatively self-taught. Going back 16 years, starting with a Craft Robo and the software, and then a puzzles, and then the ScanNCut. So I have no information other, to no inside information at all with regards to the machine or accessories or software or anything like that. I just find out stuff when you find out, basically. So yeah, the piercing kit can't be used with a CM model. So Chris, that helps. Okay, that's fine. And if you can't get that to work, go to YouTube and just type in installing fonts on Windows computer, and there's bound to be videos. Linda, well, I've said it before, I never thought I needed the DX machine at all until I got one. And then, to be fair, it's amazing. I just love the simplicity of not having to think about setting the blade depth or the cut pressure. I mean, if you watch any of my live videos I've been doing on a Sunday night, I put all different types of things in. Like this Sunday I had card in and I was piercing it. I took that out and I put vellum in, and it cut that, and I didn't have to touch the blade or the cut pressure at all. It really is an amazing machine, and it's a whole lot quieter than the CM. Sue Lakin, no, I have got some fonts that are what are called open type fonts. So OTF, sometimes when you download a file and you open it up, it'll say OTF, which is open type font. True type fonts, I believe, are the best. I'm not an expert, but I do have some that are open type fonts. Lynn Gaskell, what is a single line font and why do they have to be used specifically? Okay, so a single line font is basically, think of you drawing a straight line with a pen. It's just literally a single font. Whereas, let's just go to text. If I type the letter I and drag it out, you can see it's got all this space in the middle. And that's, your machine follows your outside lines. A single type font, let me just see if I can find. Now this is a font called Astina, which again isn't a single line font, but when you draw with it, it draws like a single line font because it's so narrow. But you can see this has still got two lines, whereas a single line font would be, where's my path? Would literally be like this, just a line. And they're the type of things, I'll make it a bit thicker. they're the type of fonts that work great for drawing with. So does that, I don't know if that helps, Lynn. There are not many to be found. You generally have to pay for them. I did have some when I had my puzzles machine. The puzzles machine had about half a dozen what they call single stroke fonts, which were for writing, because that machine had a pen adapter that you could draw with. So within their software, they gave us some single stroke fonts, but they're not that easy to come by. They basically literally are single and solid like this here, as opposed to this that's got two lines. What's Alison saying? Does anyone else have problems loading their mats? I have 2 mats and they often take a while to load. It's always the left-hand roller, anything I can do. I've never had a problem with my mat loading at all. I know some of the DX models, when they first came out, had a problem, but I think that's been rectified now. Basically, just make sure that they're loaded into the 2 channels on the side of your machine, and I always hold mine in the middle where the big arrow is, next to where the silver bar is, and then I press load and it just goes in. Sean, I honestly don't know what the difference between true type font and open type fonts are. I just know that the majority of the fonts appear to always be true type fonts. I think some open type fonts don't work in some softwares. Okay, Charlotte. Charlotte's saying she thinks true type fonts scale up and down well. Could be. I honestly don't know. Yeah, Lynn Gaskell, that's a point. I know I'm always, in fact, it's something I did only last week. I know I'm always saying clean the front of your mat with an alcohol-free baby wipe, but when you turn your mat over, you'll be surprised how much sometimes you can pick up dirt and bits of adhesive and all sorts of things. So yeah, I did clean the back of my mats only, I think, last week before Sunday's live. So yeah, try that as well. Also, look if there's anything underneath the roller. Sometimes there might be a bit of adhesive or something that's stuck under there, or a bit of paper. Try moving the roll around by hand with your finger. They will move round, and see if there's anything, maybe that's got stuck under there. Okay, well, I don't think there's any more questions that seem to be coming up now, so I think we'll wrap this one up. And I'll go back maybe tonight and see if I can have a look at the Saru's flower ding again and see why I couldn't do the offset. And I'll let you know if it works when I'm not screen sharing, and if it doesn't work, I'll let you know as well. I honestly don't know why it didn't work, because, I've made the video and I've made the card and it worked then, so. What's Nancy saying? Alison, I find giving an extra push on the left side of the mat will help. Okay. I don't push at all. I literally line my mat up in the grooves on either side, and I hold it in the middle and I press the load button, and I've never had a problem. But I do make sure that the front of the mat is under the silver roller bar. Lynn, you're welcome. Just going to have another quick drink. Oh, I had tape on the back of my old CM mat, Sean. I cut a hole out of it and taped it up with parcel tape. But yeah, just maybe keep the tape away from the edge of the backside of the mat. Charmaine, you're more than welcome. It's fine. So I'm going to say goodbye now to everybody. We'll try and do Barbara Hartley, you're welcome. Charlotte, thank you, you're welcome. Jay Cougar, you're welcome. I know you were with me on Sunday doing the paper piercing, weren't you? Yeah, it's great that people ask. That's I think this has been you know, quite a good session really, hasn't it? I think we've ironed out a few things. Susan Considine, you're welcome. Thank you very much. We'll try and do it again. As I say, send me questions and we'll try and do another one in a couple of weeks, maybe another Q&A and see. One of you mats is like a patchwork quilt. Oh dear. Yeah, goodbye Patty, thank you. Thank you Kathy. Sue Lakin came in a little late but got the gist of the problem earlier in the live. Good luck. Yeah, it's fine. We'll try and iron it out. Lynn Gaskell, thanks. Goodbye. Nancy, good night. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. And I'm going to say goodbye for now. See you all soon.